We have heard that masturbation is totally normal, but to what extent? How many times a day can you masturbate without being considered addicted? And what if you can't stop? Let's address these questions to understand why you should stop now with an act that looks normal but conceals a trap for your life. In today's video, you will gain an understanding of the physiological and philosophical changes that occur in our brains and the lessons that Stoicism teaches us. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss anything. Now, let's begin. Current health is quite clear in indicating that masturbation is entirely normal, not just among human beings, but also confirmed in dogs and other animals. However, this concept of regular masturbation was not always understood. In the past, masturbation was regarded as sinful, particularly among men, because unproductive semen production hindered people from reproducing. In the case of women, it was thought that masturbation could separate them from men by allowing them to find satisfaction on their own and without assistance. To this ethical pressure was added the physical burden, suggesting that masturbation caused sickness. Hence, it was not good to engage in it at all. But let's come back to the present. What do we understand concerning masturbation, particularly among men suffering from insomnia? What has been discovered is that it induces sleep. Research has discovered that the male brain switches off sexual desire after orgasm. The cerebral cortex, which controls conscious cognition, goes to rest once the man reaches climax. This, in addition to abolishing the desire to constantly have sexual intercourse, facilitates sleep. So many men fall asleep after having sex. But what is the problem? Well, masturbation produces dopamine in your brain. This hormone takes responsibility for making us feel better, providing relaxation, relieving stress reduction, and a sense of reward. This is triggered by dopamine and is so enjoyable that certain people get addicted. Furthermore, heavy masturbation in the category of obsessive-compulsive disorder is an additional vice that results in mental and familial destruction. In many instances, you will not be able to control yourself, and you will turn into a slave to yourself, a victim of your lack of control, thus searching for relationships with multiple women, sex with numerous individuals, and excessive consumption of pornography. These are the methods by which a dopamine-saturated brain finds fulfillment. Pay attention. Obsession with masturbation is caused by chemicals produced in the brain, and as our brain adapts to the production of these, it feels the need to constantly find the codes that created the stimulation. Your brain will begin to ask for more and more dopamine for the same satisfaction it had initially, making you constantly want to keep looking for ways to masturbate again. This reaches an exaggerated stage when your brain notices that dopamine production is excessive and starts to block receptors in an attempt to stop you. As a result, the individual performs the pleasure act. In this scenario, they masturbate but achieve nothing, which irritates them even more than they already were. Excessive masturbation to quench the thirst for pleasure is exactly what a smoker who never stops, someone who consumes chocolate until vomiting, or even an alcoholic does. At a certain point, you must be wondering exactly what Stoicism has to do with this. The Stoics Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus, experts of self-control and wisdom, talked about the concept of pleasure and lust from a unique viewpoint. From the words of Epictetus to the inner thoughts of Seneca, they investigated the depths of human passion, a history that still intrigues us. For the Stoic philosophers, masturbation was not just a desire for carnal pleasure, but an opportunity to discover the limitations of the body and mind. They regarded it as an exercise in mindfulness and a road to genuine freedom. According to their perspective, mastery over earthly lust and pleasures was a conquest that elevated the human spirit. According to Epictetus, it is not nights filled with pleasure, but self-control that distinguishes an upright man. In this context, the ability to enjoy pleasure while comprehending and controlling it makes a difference for someone who has attained a higher level of self-awareness. Rather than being slaves to our passions, we need to be their masters, as Seneca tells us. With his philosophical viewpoint, Stoic reflection on masturbation is not just about repression, but deep knowledge and self-mastery. This transforms into the ability to lead our emotions on a conscious self-exploration adventure. It resides not just in fleeting fulfillment, but in comprehending, accepting, and embracing our innermost inclination. From the Stoic perspective, each action has consequences not only for us, but also for the natural order of the universe. When we give in to our strongest desires, such as uncontrollable masturbation, we lose that healthy connection with nature that Stoicism values. We become prisoners of our desires, walking away from true peace of mind. Excessive masturbation can create an emotional maelstrom within us, where shame, guilt, and sadness become regular companions. The Stoics advise us to control our powerful emotions through self-regulation. By controlling our emotions, we learn to handle them effectively. However, Stoicism motivates us to find peace inside ourselves. True fulfillment resides in our self-mastery and our capacity to find pleasure in what is simple and ethical. Allow me to share a personal, touching story. I know someone who used to battle with obsessive masturbation, seeking comfort and pleasure, but suffering an emotional storm after every act. This person underwent a tremendous transformation by immersing himself in Stoic principles and practicing discipline and self-control. He learned to deal with his desires and emotions mindfully, finding happiness in self-control. He now enjoys a life of inner serenity and authenticity, free from the captivity of momentary desire. Genuine pleasure comes from living in accordance with our fundamental principles and values. When we cave into temporary pleasures, we lose sight of what we genuinely value in life. Excessive masturbation can separate us from our best motives and divert us away from the genuine happiness found in conduct and inner peace. By engaging in meditation and mindfulness, we can develop the mental tranquility needed to overcome temptations while handling our emotions effectively. This compulsion becomes a barrier to mental tranquility, leading us into regrets and directing us away from the serene peace that comes from self-control and moderation.